G'day and welcome to Country Music World. I'm Mick.
And I'm Jay.
Today on CMW we're heading down to South Queensland and we're going to talk to, she's an absolute superstar performer.
She is, mate. If you want entertainment, head to one of her shows and you'll be guaranteed to have a good time.
She's been fronting the Blue Healer band for 15 years maybe. We're going to talk to her a little bit about that.
Yep.
Every time you go to her show, no matter what's going on, you will be entertained, I can guarantee it. She's got a fantastic voice.
She's got a great band behind her.
She definitely has. They've always been a great band. Now subscribe to the channel, like the video, and let's get to know a little bit more about Luella Widt.
Should have listened to what Grandma said to me. Girl, that boy's going to war. Are you strong enough to mend him if he comes back a broken man? Or if he comes...
So Jay, we're just going to cut across to Luella, who's hopefully she's out of bed. Have we got you online there, well?
We do, and yes, I am. I was going to stay in there for the whole thing, you know, but I made an effort.
Well, we're pretty happy here that you've woken up early for us.
And when you say early, you mean like midday?
Well, it is. Yeah, it's actually nearly up past 1 right now. So you've done well, and you look beautiful.
And I've still got my cup of tea.
Nothing wrong.
Things are good.
Nothing wrong. Things are good. Now, on behalf of Jay and myself, thank you for joining us here at Country Music World, and we really do appreciate artists taking their time out of their day, and especially their lay days, to come on and have a yak with us.
Especially on
Oh,
Monday.
you're very welcome.
You've done gigs all weekend, this is like your weekend, isn't it?
It is. Monday is the day where, well, Shane's a musician as well, so both of us are always napping on Mondays.
Absolutely.
Monday's the day where we have trouble getting out of bed. We're always hungry. We're tired. It's like, I swear to God, I go to sushi like every Monday because if I wake up and I'm that starving. So yeah, Monday's like, I guess it's sort of like our Sunday, but it's the start of our weekend as well. So yeah, we did a big weekend of gigs, so we're both a bit knackered.
Hey, well, you've been going around this game for a while now, and you've been out for since the start of time, pretty much everywhere we go, and all through this industry. Luella Widt seems to be there all the time, and you're out working all the time, and you're relentless with what you do, and your stagecraft is amazing. But
oh, thanks, man.
When it all started, what originally got you into country music? Why was it the country scene that tickled your fancy?
Well, I was born and raised in Collinsville, North Queensland, so it is a country town for a start. And I was brought up with a lot of different styles of music, We had a whole lot of different flavours of music throughout our household. I started singing by sitting in a little circle of friends out the backyard at Mum and Dad's. And one of my friends popped up and said, "Oh, gee, you've got a lovely voice," just without me thinking about it. I was like, "Oh, yeah," But Mum and Dad must have sort of saw something too. And I guess the country industry was a good way to get out there and do competitions and meet people. And I guess at the time, there's a few close ones for us, like Charles Towers is close to us,
Sure.
It's about a 4-hour drive. And Mum and Dad packed me up and put me in the car and started driving me around the countryside, and it was a great start. And I did also listen to a lot of the Judds, Reba McEntire, that sort of stuff quite young. So I had a lot of early country influences as well.
It doesn't surprise me that you mentioned Reba and the Judds because, for country fans that know those guys, they're more of even a bluesy orientated country. They're not your traditional country, and whenever we hear you sing and you're out doing your thing, you bring that edge and that also, I love the husk in your voice, but you bring that rock blues element into your country style. And would you put that down to the Judds and Reba?
Definitely a lot of influence for soul country music, I think Ben Still's the same, a lot of those acts, they sing great country, but there's always just that little element of soul. And I am a bit of a Motown fan as well, so I guess for me it's like gelling the two together and having my two favourite things all at once.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So, Luella, we might
let's talk about your music.
Yeah, talk about your music. You've got a new single out.
I do. It's been a little while since I've had something out, like 2011. But it's really exciting to finally have something out. It's been a big couple of years. I've had the same manager for like 16 years, Pete Lee, who obviously as the Blue Heeler band, and before that Stylus. He went into a little bit of a health condition and had a heart attack on me. Right when the last single, Mother's Love, was like 3 months in the charts and everything was going, and life sort of just went totally upside down. And within that time, I found Jane, fell in love, and everything changed. So then I went through this whole transitioning period, and it just took me a while to get on my feet again too. I really needed that time emotionally, career-wise. So I bought out some music this year, and it's about time.
I think it's about time too, and I'll tell you what, I've heard it, Catherine. It's fantastic. Like you can sing the phone book, but this is beautiful, and I really can't wait for the new album. I'm actually really hanging here, so I've just got to hear more. So you've got me intrigued with the first single, and I'm definitely right on this queue list to jump straight on the new album when it comes out. Now, when is it coming out, and what's it called?
The new album's called Around Me.
Around Me?
And it's in manufacturing at the moment, so it's, getting pressed and, all wrapped up and ready to come out of my hot little hands. And it's like anyone who's recorded an album and had it delivered to them knows the feeling. But when it turns up at your doorstep and you open it, it's like having a new baby. It really is. It's the most exciting feeling, and you get so nervous, you get so anxious about how it's going to go, and I go through so many different emotions. So it's in press at the moment. It should be ready, to send out to the pre-orders by the end of the week. I'm hoping it'll turn up because I go to America next week. And then I'm going to have an official launch in Tamworth in January, simply because I've never had one, and, any excuse for a bit of a party, and getting musical people all together. But I think the actual release of the album to stores will be around November, December.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So talking about Tamworth, well, you've obviously got some dates booked in, and are we going to see it the Services Club like we do every other year? Is that where you're going to be?
Absolutely, yeah. We're exclusive to the Services Club. We play there every year from the Monday to the Sunday, so it's like the second week of Tamworth. And we do shows there daily, so one a day, because, I'm not as young as I used to be, and I don't do 28 gigs in 10 days anymore. Don't know if you can relate. Yeah, so we're doing a show every day, and the service crew are such a cool crew that the staff are always into it. We're getting great crowds there, and we just have the time of our life,
Awesome. Luella, talking about the time of your life, what would you say would be your career highlights that you've had?
There have been obviously a few, because I don't want to say it out loud, but I've been doing this over 20 years now. Yes, that was 20. So obviously there's been a lot. I think, as a teenager and when you're dreaming of being a country star, you see a lot of the big stages like the Muster and things like that, and you always really want to be a part of it. So a lot of my Muster gigs there at the Crowbar have been highlights. I got to sing with Wendy Matthews. That was huge for me. So obviously there's a few. And when I was touring with Brian Young, when we went out into the Outback, some of the shows there, we did one right near Ayers Rock, and for me, being an Australian, that was just one of the most precious moments of my life. Yeah, and I toured with James Blundell. That whole tour was a highlight. That was just brilliant. I was support act for him, and he was such a good guy, so honest, and we just had the best time. So, yeah, obviously the list is long, but they stick in my head,
Nice. And, I'm probably going to go out on a limb here and say with this album and the single that's out now with the album coming, I think you're probably going to knock some more highlights here. I think you're going to get some more good... You still got a few good years left in you get well.
Jeez, I hope so.
I think you're going to be all right.
I'm not ready to give it up.
I think you're going to be all right.
Yeah, once it's in your blood, and it is. You put everything into it. You put all your heart, all your energy into it when you're in music, and you guys know that because you're in it. Whether you're a singer or an instrumentalist, if music's in you, it's emotional. It's a passion thing, and I guess that's why you get nervous when you're bringing out new albums, because you want it to go well, because you spend your life making music. So yeah, I plan to do this for the rest of mine. In some way, shape or form, be involved in music.
The greatest thing about playing with someone like Well is no matter what's going on, whether we're tired or we're grumpy, there's always someone around that's grumpy, especially if the Thompson boys were there. I love David Thompson. But there's always someone getting around that probably wasn't. It's hard in a band and working a 4 or 5 piece band all the time. It's hard to have the perfect synergy for the entire time. So there's always someone that's got something going on inside that troop. And, and sometimes it'd be Luella, but, and that's just life in general. But the thing that I loved every single time about playing with her, no matter what happened, is the second the lights went on, the music started, it was game on. And it didn't matter what was happening in the world. And this is a big credit to you, Luella, because a lot of people take their life on the stage with them. And I'm not probably saying that you shouldn't, but at the end of the day, people aren't there to listen to what's going on in your world. And that's the brutal side of it. We're there to do a job, and you are the epitome of professionalism when it comes to that. And there's been countless times where things haven't probably always been perfect roses when you're just about to hop on that stage. And, there's a couple of movies out on it, The Show Must Go On, and all this stuff that you can watch where they're arguing, ladies and gentlemen, bang, and the smiles go on and they're out and they do their show. Yeah. Then you walk off stage and you just crumble. You are the ultimate professional when it comes to that. And I learned so much in my time just being around you. And, a lot of this got to do with Peter Lee, great man, because that's the old school. And that's going back with Youngie. That's Youngie belting in India, that it doesn't matter what happens, the show must go on and no one cares. And that's, for me, that's a huge thing. And a lot of people don't realise that we're entertainers,
Yeah,
and
right.
And I've always taken my hat off to you with that, because the second we go and watch you, we're going to have a good time. No matter what's going on, we're going to have a good time, and you're going to be, whether it be on someone's shoulders or jumping across a table or throwing yourself across a drum kit, there'll be something happening. You'll be doing what you do best. And so, people watching this thing, you need to go and watch this lady right here.
Oh, absolutely. It's entertainment. It always is. Yeah.
Because you're the bomb. You're the best at it.
It is an important part of it, and I've been taught well right down the line with that, like I said, with Youngie. And with him, he always taught me a lot about professionalism, and same with Pete Lee, he was exactly the same. And prior to going on tour with Brian Young, I started playing in a band, and I was still at high school, so I was therefore sort of started to make a living from it before I'd even turned 16. And I think you had to be, and because I've also used music as my whole income my whole life, so I haven't had other jobs or, you have to be prepared to put everything else behind you and get out there and do it. And at the end of the day, you should want to, because the people that come to see you, they need to forget their worries for a bit. And if they've been able to sit there for a couple of hours and forget their worries, and you've done your job, and that's why I like to bring a little bit of comedy into what I do, or, I might be a little bit rough around the edges at times, but I'd rather be real, so, and I have dealt with a lot before going on stage over the years, because at 17 I lost my almost 2-year-old cousin on the day of a huge gig at the Bowen Fishing Classic up there, where there was like 8,000 people. No one person knew that I had anything wrong, but I tell you what, like you said, after the gig, you just crumble. And that's happened on a lot of occasions for me because of the amount of gigs I do. You don't have a choice to pick and choose what's going to happen in your life at the time, So, it can be anything that happens that can change your attitude, but you just got to get out there and do it. And that's how I've always looked at it, and I always will.
Yeah, a lot of good advice there, Mick.
Yeah.
You got it. While we're on advice, have you got any other stuff you'd like to add for up-and-coming artists who are thinking about a career?
I do.
What is it?
I do, and I'm going to steal it from James Blundell. Now, when I met James, I was only in my early 20s, and I was about to go on tour with him. And I said, so James, what can you tell me? What do I need in this industry? What's the best advice you can give me? And he spun around and he looked me fair in the eyes and he said, Bella, you need to hide like a rhino. Certainly I must have taken it literally. Look, seriously, you need to be tough. You got to be tough, because people will knock you down. People will be negative. You're going to deal with a lot of no's, and you will. And no matter what, you're going to deal with knockbacks. You're going to deal with heartbreak. I cannot tell you how many people have promised me things and never come to the party when it was there, when the deal was ready. So you got to be tough. You just got to be tough, and you got to be persistent. And that's why I'm still working as a musician, because I have just had to, grab the bull by the horns and just keep going. And there's times when you don't want to. This year for me emotionally has been extremely rough. But I think it's just because you're getting to a part of your career where you're going, oh, do I have enough strength to keep going with this? You've got to be tough. That's the way I see it. Professional and tough.
I love that. I love that. I think there's a lot to be said too, and people get out of it what they put into it, and I mean you can proudly sit here and say now you've had a career in this game and a good career, for 20 years.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that don't last 2 years, let alone 20 years, and you're still firing. You've got a new album coming out now, and look, at the end of the day, success is what you want it to be.
Oh, absolutely, and it's funny because the older you get, the more you realise that, And in this industry, look, let's not beat around the bush. It's a lot about how much money you're going to shell out for advertising and promotion and into different places, And if you're an independent and you've still got a life to live and you can't afford to just keep punching money into a career, then you can slip between the cracks. But you also got to keep your dignity and you got to keep respect and earn respect. And I think if you work hard towards it, and I've had to, because I've pretty much funded a lot of the things myself. I've had a little bit of help here and there. I did a crowdfunding for this one, which in itself is a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to ask people to help you before you do a project. But if it's the difference between making a choice to do it or not do it, what do you got to lose? So it is. It's something that you've got to work towards for sure,
Where can we find you? Well, where are you out and about? Where are you playing? How can people get in contact with you and go and watch Luella Widt and the Healers?
Yeah. Obviously, the social networks are where it's at in today's world. Most people are on those. I have a music Facebook page, which is Luella Widt Music. If you look up Luella on Facebook, I'm generally the first one to come up in the list because of the copious amounts of humans on there that we deal with every day.
Okay.
But I also have a website, luellawidt.com. It's currently under construction because I'm doing the whole rebranding thing with my new artwork, with the new album. Obviously, because I haven't had a release for a few years, there's a whole lot of refreshing to be done. So the website will soon have sort of gig guides and you can get in touch with me. But look, honestly, if you're on Facebook, shoot me a message and I'll give you a list of gigs or whatever. It's that simple in today's world, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And any of the other socials, Instagram. I'm not a big fan of Twitter, but I'm on there. I like to just make up funny tweets like.
We've been trying to work out how
Twitter works. No good no more.
Are you any good at Twitter?
I'm terrible at it.
I don't even. I think I'm a twit.
Yeah.
I think I belong there because I'm a twit.
Twits, mate.
I don't get Twitter. Do people?
The first time I got on Twitter, I just started doing all these funny tweets. One of them was hashtag almost Sonia Data, and I put Twitter, you don't tweet me no good no more. I just started doing all these funny ones with all the words hashtag or whatever in them just to keep myself occupied because I had no idea what was going on. And I guess it's a generational thing.
Yeah.
I hate to admit it, but I think in some ways it definitely is because the young ones, they know what's happening with Twitter. To me, it's just like someone writes a couple of lines and then someone else sends it off somewhere. And
Yeah, I think what we'll do, actually, we're going to hijack your video right now and throw a shout out. We're going to try and find someone that's watching this to take over our Twitter page.
Well, I thought we should
yours.
get Luella to do it.
Well, do you want to do it? Do you want to do our Twitter page? You can. We'll admin you on our Twitter page. You can do whatever you like because no one follows us anyway. So it'll probably.
No, we won't know what you're doing anyway.
It'll probably Luella Widt and Jay and Mick will be the only three people retweeting or whatever it's called. So we'll be talking to ourselves. Look, we're going to make sure all your contacts are below in the description, so people can get in contact with you. We highly recommend that everyone goes and watches Luella perform at some point in your life. You need to have this lady as part of your musical bucket list because you're an absolute pocket rocket. You never know what you're going to get. If you're not sure about what you should do in a crowd with Luella and you don't want Luella to single you out, I would stand very, very clear of give her a 50-metre berth or something like that. Because if you're inside that area,
not even safe that far away anymore, mate. I've got a new microphone. It's got like a range of 100 meters.
Well, no one.
I need to be able to get the people hiding as well.
No one's off limits. Look, everyone needs to do themselves a favour and go and watch you. And the other cool thing about Luella is she's had a red-hot band since time started, and again, we'll throw a lot of that back to Pete, But
Yeah.
the Healer Band has always been this institution of country music in Australia, as they're great players, you know, really
Absolutely.
very, very well polished, rehearsed band with Luella out the front. Good harmonies, there's always good things going on in this band. So
Yeah.
musically, it's a show that if you want good music with good energy and a good front person, this is the show you need to go and see.
Yeah, we always hire a good team, and I think that's important too, because for me, it's got to be about the music.
Yeah.
You know, so we always make sure we try to hire people who, you know, really complement each other, and different personalities on stage. I love that too, you know, because I'm quite a big personality, and there's just all different little quirky things that make it great. And yeah, all world-class musicians, and I feel really lucky every day for that, because, you know, I was born and raised in Collinsville, and I had no idea where I was going to end up. Mum put me on a bus, sent me to Brisbane without asking any questions, and, you know, she just thought it was the right thing to do. And then when I met Pete, yeah, he is so big on making sure that the musicians are great. And he's very big on people having a good attitude. And like you said, Mick, no matter what's going on, and if he was there, if you had an attitude, he's going to let you know about it real quick, and, and he'd tell you to take it off before you walk on the stage. So, yeah, I think having all those great musicians for me has just been something I don't know, not that I didn't expect it, but I just feel lucky about it. I just feel really lucky that they would say yes and come and play with me. You know, it's like I get a bit starstruck by them. You know, it's not about me being a front person. It's about them being great musicians, because there's so many talented people in this country. We just, you know, especially North Queensland guys. You know, the talent that comes out of that place is incredible.
Yeah, it's a good talent up this end, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you know what? Well, we're going to catch you in Tamworth, if not before. But we're going to catch you, and you better have your game face on in Tamworth, because we're going to be walking around the streets of Tamworth with our YouTube shirts on, and
Loving it.
and we're going to walk straight up. It'll be different this year, because, you know, I'll still give you a cuddle and a kiss because I love that, but I'm going to jam a camera straight in your face. So you better
come and do an interview on the stage. I'm keen.
So you better be ready, because any moment you can turn around and you're going to go, hey, how you going? And we're going to.
No, seriously, come to the gig and come and do an interview on stage. That'd be hilarious. I'm ready for it.
It's on, mate.
On.
Done. You know what we'll do? We'll live feed it. We'll do one of them live streams. Do you know how to do that?
Yeah.
Good idea. We'll have a crack. We'll figure this out.
We've got a few months to work it out.
We've got a few months to work. We did one this morning and it come out sideways, and I got in trouble by my mum. So, but we'll sort all that out by then, and we'll make sure we're not standing on our heads or something.
Oh, brilliant. Don't worry, the crowd will do what I say anyway. I'm the boss. I've got the microphone, all right? I'll just say, now listen, these guys, they're coming in here.
I love that.
It'll be good.
Well, everyone needs to support you, Luella. We're going to see you in Tamworth. Thank you very much
Thanks,
on behalf
man.
of Jay and myself for spending a bit of time with us here at Country Music World. And good luck with your single and your album. It's going to be it is fantastic already. You've done it. It's going to be great. We wish you the best.
Thanks,
and
guys.
thank you so much for just being an awesome part of this industry.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Luella.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Welly.
Bye.
So there you go, Jay. There's a bit of a wrap up with Luella.
Good interview, mate. She's a lot of fun.
Thank you, Luella, for getting yourself out of bed for us. We know that it is. We know it is difficult on a Monday for you to drag yourself up out of bed and get hungry, but you have to go and eat at some point anyway, Jay.
That's right.
She's a lot of fun, Luella, and I've got to know her really well over the last year, a lot of years actually. She's been around a long time. We're all getting a little bit older now, and but she's like a good red wine. She gets better with age. Her performances are just out of this world. There's so much energy that comes off this lady's stage.
That's right. And she's got new music coming out. She's got a new single out, new album out very, very soon.
I personally can't wait for this new album. It's excited me. I heard the single. It's produced really well. She's a great singer, and I'm really, really looking forward to this album. I can't wait to play it a lot.
Absolutely. If you're heading to Tamworth, make sure you check out one of her shows. Well worth it.
Absolutely. All her links are going to be below, so you can make contact with Luella, and you definitely should. Luella, on behalf of Jay and myself and everyone here at the Country Music World, we wish you the best in your future.
Check out Luella Widt.
Do you love country music?
We love country music.
Country Music World are giving you and a friend the opportunity to go to the Denny Ute Muster for free.
All you have to do is subscribe to our channel, then head on over to Facebook,
via the link in the description below.
When you get to Facebook, you're going to have to like and share the post that's going around there at the moment.
And you could be on your way to see Keith Urban,
John Williamson,
Troy Casadale,
James Rain,
Shannon Knoll,
and heaps more.
all thanks to the Danny Ute Muster and
Country Music World.